for your time. I am Pius Kojo Baka, and we want to do something from the corridors of the Bank of Ghana because its governor, Dr. Ernest Addison, has highlighted the difficulty in dealing with the cedi's depreciation, which is driven by sentiments and election-related concerns. George Yafe tells us more.
Responding to a question posed by Joy Business, Bank of Ghana Governor Dr. Ernest Addison, however, maintained that they are committed to stabilizing the situation, despite admitting it would not be easy.
What else can you do about expectations? What else can you do about uncertainty about, the economy, given the fact that we have an election coming up? You tell me. So it's not everything that can easily be, handled. Some of them are very complicated.
The Bank of Ghana Governor Dr. Ernest Addison also rejected arguments that Ghana may struggle to meet its Eurobond repayment obligations later this year.
We're very much aware of payments that are upcoming. If you look at the cash flow projections, a provision has been made for this particular payment. So yes, we have had built up reserves to meet some of these lumpy payments in the outlook.
So what is the advice to government, especially going into this election season, when it comes to spending? This is the governor's response when he was asked that question.
But that residence is not being built for the governor. It's just an official duty post. The governor already has a residence. And mind you, it's even larger and posher than what they are talking about. So I have no incentive to build anything new, because where I live now is posher and nicer than what is being done.
The governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Addison, argued that current data showed that the economy is on track and showing signs of strong recovery. However, everything must be done on the fiscal and monetary side to stabilize the situation going forward. The governor also revealed that more than 400 armed bullion vans have been purchased by the commercial banks to aid in the transportation of cash from various outlets to their branches.
So are the governor's concerns justified, especially when the Bank of Ghana is expected to play a lead role in stabilizing the Ghana cedi? Well, Dr. Edu Sarkodie is an economist and has been speaking to us on that.
I think if I listen to him carefully, he was just being honest with us to tell us that some of the causes of the depreciation, which is the sentiments and expectations, they really fall outside of the pure economics framework, and sometimes it's difficult to deal with them. And so that's the sense I got from that speech, that posture. So he was just making a statement that some of the sentiments are even political. In an election year, some people will just buy the dollar and keep it because they don't know the outcome of the elections, and some of these things should be discouraged. So the best way to fight those kind of sentiments may not be using pure monetary tools or economic tools, but it could be just you and I having this discussion to appeal to the public.
So moral suasion,
not to buy the dollar and hoard it. So BOJ can have a stricter measure and say, okay, forest bureaus, don't sell dollars to anybody who is just buying to hoard it. But if somebody is able to outsmart the system and say, I'll provide evidence that I'm buying it for trade, but I'll still keep it, some of this. So moral suasion.
Who should lead that? The Bank of Ghana or the fiscal?
All of us. I think BOG has started. For the governor to make that statement is in itself an appeal. And I think he has started the campaign that we should, continue amplifying the campaign against the purchase or against the dollarization, where people just buy it to keep it as a store of value. And then he also made a point that some years past, in 2017, 2018, nobody was interested in this dollarization because the economy was in a better shape and people had confidence in the cedi. So nobody was buying dollar. I mean, not nobody, but only a few people were buying the dollar to keep it. But now the actors are reacting to the difficulties that we have gone through. No, we shouldn't forget the difficulties that the economy has gone through, right? From COVID to the war, to the U.S. Fed increasing their rate, to the tensions in the Middle East, to all these political, season uncertainties. So we should not lose that. We have gone through domestic debt exchange. We are going through external debt exchange. So all these, because bondholders who receive haircuts of course, it was a bitter pill. So we shouldn't lose sight of the difficulties that we have gone through as a country. And you expect that a rational consumer will react in this way. So the governor was being honest that, yes, these reactions, expectations, and speculations they were expected.
And we know the banking industry's non-performing loans ratio surged to 24.1% in June 2024, up from 18.7% in June 2023. According to the Bank of Ghana, despite improvements in the banking sector's performance, elevated credit risk poses a threat to the sector's recovery process. Thankfully, I'm joined by Senior Finance Lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School, Dr. Benjamin Amoah. Thanks so much, Dr. Amoah, for agreeing to speak to us on Business Life, and good to see you. Now, maybe we would need to start off with you sharing your thoughts with us on this significant spike in the non-performing loans.
Thank you very much. What we are seeing is about loans that banks have extended, and banks are having difficulties in receiving the projected cash flows per the contracts that the bank may have signed with their respective clients. And so if you are comparing last year, June, to up to this year, June, the non-performing loans have inched up. And clearly, it is telling us that banks, comparatively, between now and last year, having challenge in turning their loans or collecting their due from the loans that they've created. And it's a genuine concern for everyone. And it's not surprising the Bank of Ghana is raising this concern as a regulator.
Would you say this was expected, looking at the challenges the economy brought through the period?
Yes, you can partially say that it's part of the economy. But again, we are working on creating a conducive credit environment. If you look at what banks are doing now, you cannot contract or get a loan from a bank without your Ghana card. That is one bold solution to this issue of individuals misrepresenting themselves in terms of their identity when they come for loan, and tracing and tracking them becoming difficult. We have now a regime that is quite, easy to identify who is who. We are still not there yet, but if you compare it to some time in the past, realize that identification was a problem. Now, with the Ghana card, I think that particular problem gradually is being solved. So if in the midst or in that transition to the use of the Ghana card, we are still seeing increase or surges in, non-performing loans, then it is a case that we may be having some economic challenge and not really an issue of identity. So you are partially right when you say that the surge can be attributed to the challenges that have gone through as an economy, which is showing up in the bank's high non-performing loans.
And Dr. Mo, I'm worried, could this also worsen the case of businesses that are looking forward to improve lending from the banks as well?
Absolutely, because if the banks are recording this high level of non-performing loans, then the banks will have to be careful. This time around, you will not be dishing out the loans like you used to do in the past, because the indicators are that you are not recovering as much as you were doing in the past. So definitely banks will be more concerned in terms of how much they give out, in terms of who will qualify for the loan, because they have to be more stringent. And banks will also be demanding more collateral to support the lending proposition, because the risk that we are seeing is not something that the banks would like to be assuming. If the banks keep on assuming this level of risk, it is affecting their profit, it is affecting their capital, and it's affecting the shareholders, because at each point in time, these loan losses or non-performing loans are recorded as losses. That means that shareholders are suffering, and they will have to come and top up their capital. So clearly, the banks will be incentivized to put in place more stringent loan extension regime. And it is very possible that if the trend is not reversed, genuine businesses that are seeking for loans will have to contract the loan at high rates, because they may be deemed to be part of that pool that will not be able to service. So we all have to work hand in hand with the central bank to make sure that borrowers pay and the economy is conducive to support the servicing of debt.
We definitely would have to get out of that. How do we go around this challenge? Any solutions to offer?
Yeah, the banks themselves will have to look through their loan portfolios. They have to do their loan type and loan industry analysis to identify which areas of the economies are posing challenge when it comes to servicing of the loans. They also have to look at the individuals who may be struggling to service the loan and identify what possibly will be the challenge in their inability to service the loan. The banks will also have to look at their whole credit regime, how they go through the credit assessment, and identify what best ways they can use to reduce this high level of non-performing loans. Because at the end of the day, the funds that the banks are using to create these loans are depositors' funds. So it is the responsibility of the banks to make sure that when these loans are extended, they are repaid so that depositors can have access to their funds. Again, Bank of Ghana also has a responsibility to make sure that the entire industry is good enough to support lending activities. We shouldn't forget that Ministry of Finance will also have a role to play, because if the entire financial services sector, the entire economy is not really working, definitely servicing of loans will also be difficult. So it is more about the relevant industry players playing their role to help all of us contract credit and have it at reduced cost.
Thank you so much, Dr. Benjamin Amoah. We are indeed grateful for speaking to us on Business Live, sharing your perspective with us on the subject matter. You're still watching Business Live. We are back with more. Please stay. Hello, welcome back to Business Live. More within the banking space, and the ARB Apex Bank is strategizing to diversify its income streams after recording an additional impairment loss to the domestic debt exchange program for the 2023 financial year. The Supervisory Bank for Rural and Community Banks has added approximately 20.4 million cedis to its previous 113.9 million cedis impairment losses, pushing their total loss as of 2023 to 134.3 million cedis. Now, despite seeing a significant growth of 122% in profit gains, the management of the bank has resolved not to pay dividends to the shareholders for the year as they work to sustain operations. Emmanuel Bright Kweku was at the 22nd annual general meeting of the bank and has filed this report.
Ghana's banking sector suffered major setbacks over the last 2 years after the government signed up for the domestic debt exchange program, coupled with macroeconomic challenges. The Apex Bank has added approximately 20.4 million cedis to its previous 113.9 million cedis impairment losses, pushing their total loss as of 2023 to 134.3 million cedis. Speaking at the 22nd annual general meeting of the bank, Chairman of the Board of Directors for the bank, Dr. Anthony Obing, says they have resolved not to pay dividends to shareholders following its mixed financial performance.
In spite of the DDEP, we have scaled the problem, and we are now in the site of profitability and sustainability. In this case, we saw as a board, we did a thorough analysis of our health, our financial health. We just went into profitability, which was quite significant. We could have given some money out, but would that have helped the health tomorrow of the bank? No. Can we wait a while so that we get stronger, and then when we are distributing some benefit, distributing some of the profit, then we know that we are doing so on the account of sustainability, that we can sustain ourselves.
But recent financial figures from the banks have seen a growing trend in profitability. The subsector recorded a growth of 122.4% in profit before tax from 164.0 million Ghana cedis in December 2022 to 364.8 million cedis in December 2023. Growth in total assets was pegged at 30.1% year-on-year from 8.4 billion Ghana cedis at the end of December 2022 to 11.0 billion Ghana cedis as of December 2023. To stay buoyant in the sector amidst the economic difficulties, the bank is instituting various reliefs to recoup their losses. Alex Kwesi Ewa is Managing Director of ARB Apex Bank.
Going forward, we also have implemented certain measures that give us the comfort that we'll continue to be resilient in terms of operations and meet the objectives for which our institutions have been set up. Our shareholders today, when we met, we talked about capitalization, rural banks subscribing to additional capital of the bank, and also the bank itself making strides in profits. And so we believe that with the combined effect of this, we'll get out of the difficulties.
For Joy News, my name is Emmanuel Bright Kweku.
And to one of our headline stories, accounting firm PricewaterhouseCoopers is linking current signs of economic stability to the IMF program. It is, however, worried what will happen to the economy post the fund program. Well, this was captured in its mid-year budget analysis report released by the firm. More in this report.
PricewaterhouseCoopers in the report maintained that these concerns were influenced by development in the past and whether the necessary measures have been instituted by this government to ensure that when we exit the IMF program, we will continue to exercise that same level of discipline. The establishment of a fiscal council, the accounting and auditing firm argued that this will again come with additional cost and bureaucracy, saying we should rather focus on strictly implementing the Fiscal Responsibility Act to deal with some of the issues facing the economy. Another issue that was of concern to PricewaterhouseCoopers was whether government will exercise the required fiscal discipline getting into this election season. The firm, however, praised government on some of its technological measures instituted to improve revenue mobilization.
Now, traders at the Tanoboase toll booth on the Techiman-Kintampo Highway have welcomed government's plans to introduce road tolls in the year 2025. There is more from Anas Sabit.
Minister of Finance Dr. Mohammed Amin Adam has announced plans by government to reintroduce the collection of road and bridge tolls in the year 2025. The minister, who made this statement during the mid-year fiscal policy review in Parliament, said the reintroduction of the tolls is part of a comprehensive strategy to enhance infrastructure funding and management. It will be recalled that the collection of road tolls ceased following a directive by the former Roads and Highways Minister Kwesi Amwakwata in 2021. This new announcement has been received with mixed reactions from the general public, with traders here at the Tanoboase toll booth along the Techiman-Kintampo Highway welcoming the idea. Some of these traders share with us how the closure of the tolls affected their livelihoods in general, as their products are not being patronized as before. The closure of the toll booths affected us a lot. We lost most of our products and we went out of business as a result. So we'll be happy if it is reintroduced. Our selling printing and cassava on the tolls were closed. I ran a loss and I'm still paying my debts. When they say they are reintroducing the tolls, they have to speed up so we get back to business. The market was booming when the toll was in place. However, the market has been negatively affected since the closure, so we beg government to reintroduce the toll system.
In the past, we used to make lots of profit from our sales due to the presence of the tolls. We struggled a lot in paying our loans due to the closure of the tolls. So the toll system was in. Whilst these traders welcome the reintroduction of the toll system, other drivers who ply the Techiman-Kintampo Highway says the move will bring undue hardship to their lives with a hike in the cost of fuel and spare parts.
MY because higher na me adwuma anytime you over kwa ba no
The toll system will not help us because of the hike in the cost of spare parts and fuel. So if the toll is introduced again, we'll run out of business as drivers. Others who believe the tolling system will be helpful are, however, appealing to government to consider scrapping the e-levy which was introduced when the tolls were scrapped.
Drivers will accept it if the e-levy will be taken away. Introduced to offset the removal of the toll booth. So if they are reintroducing it, it is better and proper for them to withdraw the e-levy and probably increase a bit the amount that drivers pay.
The E11, there was a mistake on the E11 because you can't close toll booth and be making E11. Because most of us, we the drivers, as long as we are working, you can pay toll booth. But the mobile money side is not really working good for us. Yeah, but the toll booth, I hope this one will help.
Reporting for Joy News, Anas Sabit, Tanobwase.
That's our part company here on Business Life with me, Pius Kojobaka. We've got more stories for you on myjoyonline.com/business. Central Group invests $980 million in Tema Oil Refinery. Also on that portal, ECG, GACL, and 8 other state agencies owe GRA 1 billion cedis in taxes. More stories when you log on to myjoyonline.com/business. I am Pius Kojobaka, grateful for serving you. Do enjoy the rest of our programs. Bye.